Hey, what's up guys? So in this video I'm going to show you how you can create digital tie-dye effects inside Affinity Photo. Now remember that these are digital tie-dye effects, not the traditional ink and cloth effects. So if you are looking for that kind of video, maybe this is not for you. But if you are looking to create these type of effects or these kind of textures digitally, then this video is for you. And if you are interested in that, let's get started. Now guys, I'm going to create two textures or two effects in this video, and the purpose is to show you different tools and different features of the Affinity Photo that you can use to create your own these kind of designs or these kind of effects, or you can say these kind of textures. Also towards the end of the video I'll also share some more tips regarding making these type of effects or these type of textures to look more natural looking, to look more, you can say that organic looking type of thing, not these hard kind of like give them more kind of like a texture look to it, the organic texture look to it. So if you are interested in that, make sure that you watch the video till the end. So guys, here inside Affinity Photo I am just going to create a new document, and it doesn't matter which size the document you have or whether it is square or rectangular document. I'm just going to use a square document because I found myself to be creating these kind of effects to be more helpful when I'm using the square type of document. So I'm going to use 1200 by 1200 pixels, and the DPI is going to be 300. And also I have found that the 1200 by 1200 pixels is kind of like an optimal or kind of like the best size that you can use to create these kind of effects, because if you go beyond that or you are creating too much large size, and you might not get the desired effect. So just stay under 1200 by 1200 or something like that. So I'm just going to press create, and it has created a new document. Now the first effect that I'm going to create is kind of like coming like a waves from one corner and moving towards the other end. So it's kind of like a gradient, and I'm going to use a gradient tool, this one. But before I do that, I need to create a new layer. So I'm just going to create a new layer, and then I'm going to use the gradient tool. At the top, this context should be the fill, and the type should be this radial. So I'm going to create a radial gradient, and it is just make it like that, and let's just place it here. So this is a radial gradient, and in this gradient I'm going to change these points, so make it more like a vibrant style. So let's say I'm just going to change this one to be yellow, somewhat like that, and add another point here. Maybe let's say make it to green. So I have already created separate videos on choosing the, you can say that, palettes or color choices, color swatches. So if you are looking for an interesting color swatches or color types, you can watch that video. I have discussed some free sources from where you can get these kind of free color swatches and color types or color gradients as well. So let's say I just want to, maybe let's say keep it like that. Maybe just make this one a little bit more purplish, somewhat like that. So yeah, this one should be, let's say like that, would be fine, be somewhat like brighter. And let's maybe make this one to be slightly bluish. So yeah, so it depends upon whatever style you want to see in your design, or what kind of effect that you want to see. So I'm just going to changing these positions and these areas to get the look that I want for my tie-dye effect or my tie-dye texture. I think I should just leave it here at this point, and maybe make this one a little bit darker to have more definition in it. Alright, let's just leave it like that. So the tool that I'm going to use, or the persona that I'm going to use inside Affinity Photo here, is this second one that is called the liquify persona. So I'm just going to, after selecting that layer, I'm just going to click here, and I have entered into the Liquify persona. Now this on the left we have different tools that we can use to modify it or liquify it. So if you are already familiar with Liquify tool inside Photoshop, and you might already know what it does, but in Affinity Photo it does slightly a little bit different. It works a little bit different as compared to if you compare it with the Photoshop. So it has created a mesh, and we are going to modify the mesh instead of the pixels. So I'm just going to scale it down a bit, and because I don't want to mess too much of it. And you can play with the hardness in the brush settings. You can play with the hardness depending upon what setting is suitable for you. So I'm just going to keep the opacity to the medium, speed to be medium, and hardness around just a little bit towards the medium, maybe size a little bit like that, and increase the size. I can use the right and left bracket keys to adjust the size, and then I'm going to just bring it outside. So as you can see that the hardness seems to be too high, so I'm just going to bring it down and opacity up, and now it is looking more good. So I'm just going to create these kind of strikes or this kind of effect that you can see here. So some of these coming inside and some of these are going outside, and you can see if you have not the mesh preview open. So I'm just going to deselect it. You can work like that as well. If you are this mesh preview is disturbing you, you can just switch it off. So I'm just going to create kind of like a streaks or strikes that you can see here coming from this corner of the and moving outward, and I'm just not going to make it extreme, just kind of like a subtle effect to show you that this tie-dye effect really works, and this kind of tools can help you create some good tie-dye designs, although they are not, as I would say, that at the quality at the par with the natural looking textures and natural looking things, but still you can easily get some cool looking designs. So guys, I'm just going to leave it at this point, and I'm pretty happy with the look that I got. So I'm just going to click apply, and now if you are seeing some of these harsh lines or something, you can just soften these up by applying a filter. So I'm just going to go to the filter and choose this blur option, and in the blur either you can use Gaussian blur or you can use box blur. So let's say I'm just want to choose this box blur, and it has already selected this settings. Maybe it has selected this setting from my previous just the test that I was doing. So if it is at the zeros, you can see there are kind of like a hard edges or hard lines like that. So if you increase this blur, those hard lines kind of like blend together like that, and that's how you can easily get this kind of like a tie-dye effect, flower style, spiral style look, not the spiral but flower style look to it. And once you get it, you can either use it and apply it on your designs. Now one thing that you notice that I have used 1000 by 1, actually 1200 by 1200 pixel size. So if I just zoom into 100%, this is what it is. Now you might be concerned about the size of this to be suitable for your t-shirt designs or for your t-shirt prints or all over print products. Now let me show you. If you increase the size of this document from 1200 by 1200 to a very high number, it does not affect the quality that much. So if I go to the edit, let's say document, and choose this option called this size document, and let's say I want to increase it to be, let's say 5000 by 5000 pixels, let's say like that. And now if I choose the 100%, you can see that we do not get any kind of like a pixelation or something, that kind of artifacts in this design, because this is a gradient, and there was already kind of like a smooth blending of colors in it. So even if we design it at a lower resolution, we still get a really good color combination or color blending, even if we scale it up to a very high resolution. So let me just go to the history. Let me just undo it, the document size, and by checking it again. So yeah, it's just undid it. So this was the first design, the first pattern that I created, or first texture that I created. Let me just save it. Alright, let me just hide this one and create a new pixel layer. Now I'm going to show you another texture, another set of tools or features of this software that can help you create a different style of the texture or tie-dye texture, and that is going to be a spiral style tie-dye effect. Now again, I can use this gradient tool, but just to show you some other possibilities of this one, I'm going to use a different tool that is called rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to show you a different technique to create a different style of this tie-dye design. So I'm just going to marquee a portion of this one like that, and I'm just selected this empty layer. Make sure that you have this empty layer selected, and then I'm going to use this fill tool, and from the type I'm going to choose solid instead of any kind of gradient, and I'm going to change its color to something, let's say like that. Then I'm going to go to this marquee tool again, shift this marquee a little bit towards right. At this location, go to the fill tool again and choose the type solid, and let's say I want it to be somewhat like that, maybe like that. And then I'm going to again same process, go to the marquee tool, change its position, use the fill tool and change this to solid and change the color again. So you can see that I'm just creating stripes of this one. These stripes have hard edges, so like that. Again, I'm going to use this marquee tool, fill it with another solid color, let's say like that, and then just the last one to be like that and fill it with, let's say, red color. Now you can again create this kind of design, this kind of effect with the gradient tool, with smooth blending of the colors, but just to show you different tools, I'm creating it in this way. So I'm just going to press Ctrl D to deselect everything, and now you can apply either a filter on it to blend these colors at this moment, or you can apply the filter at the later stage. But I just find myself to be, sometimes I apply the filter at this stage and sometimes I will apply that blending or blur filter at the later stage. So let's say just apply the filter at this point. So I'm just going to go to the blur and choose this Gaussian blur and apply a little bit blur effect, let's say somewhat like that, just to blend these edges or the points where two colors are meeting. So I'm just going to apply it, and then I'm going to go to the filters and choose this option, distort, and choose a 12. I have already applied these settings, so the maximum radius and the maximum angle. So the angle you can change according to your likeness, what kind of style you want. So maybe I want it to be subtle like that or extreme like that. That totally depends upon you. So I'm just going to make it very extreme, 720 degrees and 1024 pixels, and then I'm just going to apply it. Then you can see we still have some hard edges or edges along it. So again, I'm going to go to the filter, let's say blur and box blur. I'm going to apply it slightly, filter to it like that, and then apply it. And then again, I'm going to go to the liquify persona, and this time again I'm going to use that tool, this liquify push forward tool, and I'm going to make strikes like that. Make sure they are coming from the center towards the edges of the design. So some of them you might want to make them move towards the center and some of them move towards outside. That totally depends upon you, how you want to see your design. And again, you can adjust your brush size according to your likeness, according to your desired effect that you want from this design. So I might just decrease it a little bit, somewhat like that, and bring it outside. Bring this yellow color inside, this one to be inside, somewhat like that. So you can see that we are getting some kind of swirly look to it like that, and then we can just simply apply it. Now if you want to mess it again somewhat like just to mess it around and apply kind of more effect to it, what you can do is to let's say at the center I want to make it kind of like a yellowish color at the center. So you can go to this let's say brush tool, paintbrush tool. In the brushes I'm going to choose, let's say, the basic brushes, and I'm going to, let's say, kind of like select a blurry brush. In the color I'm going to choose the yellow. Now this step is not really necessary, but if you are looking to get that kind of center area here, so I'm just going to make it big. Just press at the center, go to the liquify persona again, and again just make sure that I'm messing with this center point and creating some streaks. This is just to give it more kind of like an organic look to it. I'm just going to leave it at this point and press OK. Now you can see that I have this interesting tie-dye design, and the edges are not that much smooth. So again I can go to the filter, go to the blur and choose a blur option, let's say box blur, to apply some kind of like a blurriness to it or blending to it. And let's say like that, not that extreme but somewhat like that, and you get this interesting tie-dye design. Now if you want to change the colors, you can apply kind of like a hue saturation slider and hue saturation effect and change the colors according to your likeness, let's say like that. So that totally depends upon you what kind of design you want to see. I'm kind of like liking this kind of design, and let's just keep it, or maybe let's just hide it for the moment. Okay, so these are the two tie-dye designs that you saw that I created. This is the first one and this is the second one. This is just kind of like show you the different possibilities of tie-dye design that you can create this in this software. Now it's time to share with you some tips regarding making them look more organic or textured look to it. So for that I'm just going to create a new layer upon it, and I'm going to use this paintbrush. And in the brushes I am going to change a different kind of brushes, let's say either textured brushes or watercolor brushes. So I'm just going to choose this watercolor effect, and I'm going to, let's say, choose kind of like a smooth one, maybe let's say like this one, and I'm going to just choose this color to be white, and I'm just going to paint at random locations somewhat like that to give it organic textured watercolor effect look to it. Some, let's say, here at this point, some of these at the center, maybe here. So just some random strokes of this brush would work fine. And then I'm going to change its blend mode to either color dodge or overlay. So by changing it to overlay, hard light or something like that, you can just experiment with these kind of blend modes. So I'm just going to choose overlay, and you can see that it has given us slightly organic look to our design, textured look to our design. So if I just hide this layer, you will be able to see that this is more kind of like a digital style design, and by clicking this one and making this layer reappear, you get some kind of like a textured look to it and textured design to it, and you can apply this kind of organic feel to your designs or textures to it to make them look natural. And this kind of effect can also work on this basic texture, that first one that we created as well, to give it more kind of like blotches style, ink style look. So guys, that's how you can easily create digital tie-dye effects inside Affinity Photo. So hopefully you have found this video and this tutorial to be useful for your print on demand business or any other kind of like an art or design business or design or your design hobby. If so, make sure that you like the video and let me know in the comments below what do you think about this video, because it will increase the engagement on YouTube and it will help me with the YouTube algorithm as well. So if you want to support this channel, this is the way you can support it. And in the future, if I create some kind of like a textures or organic looks to it, I'll provide it as freebie, and I have previously provided some freebies on this channel. So if you are looking for any kind of freebies, you can definitely check those videos out. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.